look the best. This one literally looks like you have a filter on your face. The pictures that I uploaded have absolutely no filter on them, no retouching, nothing. They just, this foundation is like the best. Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about the FACE Atelier foundation. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I always say Atelier. I think that's how it's pronounced, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I've gotten so many questions about this foundation over the years and my thoughts about it, and you know, why I like using it in my kit, all of that. So I've mentioned this foundation so many times on my channel. It's been in my kit for years. And it's not a super popular foundation. I feel like it's not something that a lot of people really talk about, at least on YouTube. And I feel like it's a really underrated foundation, which is why I wanted to talk about it. And like I said, I've gotten so many questions about it over the years, so I just wanted to make a full video dedicated to this foundation, tell you, you know, my thoughts on it. I show you an application of it, talk about the key points and claims of this foundation, and also I'm going to share my go-to shades for my kit. If you're wondering, I know it's hard when you're a makeup artist and you want to try a new foundation and you're not really sure, you know, what shades are the good shades to buy for your kit because you don't want to buy the whole range. I'm going to give you my go-to shades that I've repurchased multiple times. So yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so I guess first we'll talk about like the key points that you should know about this foundation and some of the claims that this foundation has. So one of the main things I love about this foundation and why I think it's so great for makeup artists is honestly just the packaging. So this foundation does come in a traditional foundation bottle, a glass bottle that probably has like 1 fluid ounce, but you can also get this size, which is how many? 0.68 fluid ounces. So what's great about this though is a plastic bottle. So it is perfect for makeup artists that are always throwing foundations in and out of their kit. You don't want the bottles to break. That would be a nightmare if a glass foundation bottle broke. Also, glass foundation bottles are just really heavy and we already have enough stuff to carry. So having this little conveniently sized plastic bottle, one, allows you to have a wider range of shades because they honestly do not take up much space at all. You can see I just stack them inside my kit upside down so you can see the number, the shade name, and you know, they really don't take up much space at all. So you can have a much wider shade range in your kits and they're not going to break, and they're really, really lightweight. Like this barely weighs anything. So that is something I really, really love about it. The next thing about it is it does come in 19 shades, which may not seem like a super wide range. I know there's so many foundations out there nowadays that are like 40 shades and 30 shades, but I still think that they did the shade range well, although it's not the most diverse shade range. What they did was they added 5 foundation adjusters. So they have a white one, a black adjuster. So the white obviously makes shades lighter. The black one makes shades darker. They have a yellow adjuster, which I have in my kit, which is called Blaze. They have an orange one, I believe. And I think they have one more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So the adjusters allow you to really customize the shades, make them lighter if you need to, make them darker if you need to, make them more warm or more like neutral. So that's really cool. So although, yeah, it may not have the widest shade range, you can really customize the shades, which I really like. I like customizing shades to my clients because I feel like it's really hard to find a perfect foundation match in any line that just matches somebody perfectly. Like, it's nice to have the option to customize a shade to really perfect it and make it look, you know, like the same color as their chest. I mean, obviously, like even me today, I mixed 3 shades together, which you'll see, and I got my perfect shade. I mixed 2 foundation shades and then added in an adjuster. But yeah, I really like the fact that it does come with those adjusters because you can really customize them. I only have the yellow one just because that's the one I feel like I would use the most, just because some of the shades are a little bit too neutral, so I need to add a little bit of yellow for my warmer clients. But yeah, so it comes in 19 shades and has adjusters. The other thing about this foundation, it has a very high pigmentation, so you don't need a ton of products. It is not, I mean, it claims to have super high pigmentation. I'm gonna be honest, it is not the most full coverage foundation I've ever used. I've definitely used foundations that have higher pigmentation, but it definitely has a good amount of pigmentation. It's nice because it's not sheer, but it's also not super full coverage and cakey. It's like a good medium. It also is super long lasting, and I can attest to that because I have used this so many times on clients. And actually right before quarantine, I used it on a client, and she went to a wedding and she had her makeup on for like 12 hours or something like that, and she sent me pictures at the end of the night and her makeup was still intact. So I can attest that this is a very long lasting foundation. It just, I don't know, it just lasts super long, especially if you use it with the right primers, which is definitely key with this. So it claims to have a natural dewy finish, but doesn't mean you can't use it on clients that have oily skin. I have oily skin and I'm wearing it today. All I do is I just make sure I set it good with powder, and I use a mattifying primer, and it's amazing. So it's really nice because it's versatile for different skin types. You can use it on someone super dry. It's gonna give them that nice natural finish on their skin. And you can also use it on someone really oily. You just have to kind of manipulate it a little bit to make it appropriate for oily skin and make it longer lasting for oily skin. So it is a long-lasting foundation, which is a plus. And the other thing I really like about it, it is actually a silicone-based foundation, which is very different. I feel like there's not a lot of foundations out there that are silicone-based. And what makes this unique is that you actually don't need to use a primer with this if you don't want to, since it does have silicone in it. I usually do use a primer, especially if someone is oily, like I said, just to mattify their skin. But on like a normal to dry client, I don't really use a primer. I'll just moisturize and then go directly in with this, and it's still fine. Since it has that silicone base to it, it really, really helps diminish the appearance of pores and lines. It's very unique because so many foundations you apply and I feel like they sink into the skin, they sink into the wrinkles, they sink into the pores, and they aren't the most flattering. Where this one almost lays on top of your skin, it fills in those problem areas and just lays on top of your skin to create like a super smooth filter effect. This foundation is amazing for mature clients, which is one of the things that I love about it because of the fact that it does have that silicone in it. So it does diminish the look of wrinkles. Obviously, it's not going to take them away. I mean, I wish people would get that by now, but I can't tell you how many times people are like, well, I can still see my wrinkles. Yeah, of course, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not a magician, but this definitely helps diminish the look of wrinkles and pores because of the silicone base. It just glides on the skin and kind of lays on top of the skin in the best way possible to make your skin just look as smooth as it can. Like you can tell with it now, my skin looks super duper smooth and it feels really, really soft. So yeah, that's one thing that is really cool about it, is the fact that you actually don't need to use a primer if you don't want to, and it does have that silicone base, which really sets it apart from a lot of different foundations out there. Going back to using this on mature clients, I have to say I've tried so many foundations over the years doing makeup, and you know, I'm always willing to try new products and try different techniques, but I have to say the one that never lets me down, especially with mature clients, is this foundation. I just find it to be the most flattering, and especially those clients that do have wrinkles and they're scared of looking cakey and they don't want a lot of coverage, they just want to kind of even out the skin tone, I'll just use like one pump of this, work from the inner part of the face outwards, just put most of the coverage on the inner part of the face, and it really does give such a luminous and youthful look to the skin. So I really do love this for mature clients and all ages, but I did want to mention that this is one of the best for mature clients. This does claim that you actually don't have to set this with powder, which honestly probably not if you're using this on someone that does have dry skin, but 9 times out of 10 I do set this with powder just because my clientele is a lot of bridal clients, people that are in weddings, so it's very, very long days that they are going to be wearing their makeup, so I need to ensure that their makeup is going to last for 10, 12, 13 hours, and if I don't set any foundation, not even just this foundation, any foundation with a powder, it's not going to last as long as it can. So powder is always going to make the foundation last longer, so I usually always set this with powder and it still looks beautiful. But if you're looking for like an everyday foundation and you do have normal to dry skin, you probably don't have to set this with powder, honestly. But I set it with loose powder today and it still looks amazing. But that is something that's nice about it, is it does claim to set on its own without powder, which not a ton of foundations have that claim. I mean, there are some out there, but I feel like most of them you do have to set, so that is pretty cool about it. And the last key point I want to mention about this foundation is this foundation photographs beautifully. I will put a picture on the screen of a client with this foundation on, but and you can see how beautifully this foundation photographs. It photographs beautifully without flash and with flash, which is one thing I really like about it. Is some foundations look good without flash, and then the second you turn that flash on, it's like, that's like, it enhances your texture, it enhances wrinkles and all that. It doesn't look the best. This one literally looks like you have a filter on your face. The pictures that I uploaded have absolutely no filter on them, no retouching, nothing. This foundation is like the best. And every time I use it, I feel like, I'm like, why don't I use this on every single person? Because it just photographs beautifully. Like one of the best looking foundations in photography, if you ask me. A little backstory about this foundation. So like I mentioned, I've had this in my kit for years. Like it's been one of those products that has always been in my kit. But I've gone through phases where I haven't used it, but it's always been there if I need it, you know? And I made the decision a couple months ago. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of this foundation. I haven't been using it because I always buy into the hype of different foundations, and I'm always willing to try new foundations for my kit. And a lot of the makeup artists that I know were using the NARS Longwear Radiant foundation. And that was like, it still is. That is like the foundation for makeup artists right now. I feel like everyone's using that in their kits. So I decided to try it out, and I tried it out myself first. Hated it. Literally just did not work with my skin. I looked so cakey and gross. So I just put that shade that I bought for myself in my kit because I literally used it one time, and I was like, maybe I'll try it on a client. And I did, and I actually really liked it on the clients. It really photographed nicely. I liked the way it looked. But so I started using that, and I bought some shades of that, but it still like wasn't like knocking my socks off. Like I still wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best foundation I've ever used. And then I went back to this a few times on a few different clients, and every time I was like, that looks pretty good. And then finally I was like, what am I doing? Like this actually looks amazing. Every time I go back to it, I'm just like, why did I stop using it? Like it's so good. It photographs so beautifully. It really does smooth the skin unlike any other foundation in my kit. And I feel like it is a foundation that you definitely can mix with other foundations, like the Makeup Forever Ultra HD stick. I've mixed the two together. I've mixed this with the Graftobian cream foundations, and it works really nicely. And I'm just like, why do I keep like putting this aside and trying other foundations when I know this works? So now I am phasing out all of the other foundations in my kit. I'm probably eventually only gonna have this the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundations because I really do like those. Those are good for mature clients as well, and I do like them for highlighting and contouring because they're super creamy. I'll probably have these, the Makeup Forever one, and probably the Graftobian cream foundations because those are really good for clients that need more of a matte look, I feel. So those are probably the only foundations I'm going to carry eventually. So now I'm phasing everything else out and I'm just going to have this because I really do feel like this never does me wrong. So get into the application and you can see how this like applies and everything. I want to talk about my go-to shades in my kit. These are shades that I've bought time and time again and I feel like they're my most used shades. Now, everybody's most used shades in their kit are going to be different because we all have different clientele. Some makeup artists work mostly on deeper skin tones. Some makeup artists work mostly on really fair skin tones. Some have a little bit of a range. It just depends, but I feel like every makeup artist kit is going to be different in terms of their most used shades because we all have different clienteles. It depends on where you live, you know, and you know what clients you're getting. So my clientele definitely ranges from, I would say fair to like medium tan. Yeah, I would say like fair to medium tan skin. I don't do a ton of deeper clients. It's just not the clientele that hires me. I would love to, but yeah, it's just not my clientele. So my shades cater definitely towards fair to like medium tan skin. But with that being said, of course, I still have a ton of deeper shades in my kit, just not in this particular foundation because what I do is I adjust the shades if I need to make them darker. I'll just use my Makeup Forever Ultra HD palette and that has a ton of darker shades in it. And I have other formulations of foundation in much deeper shades that I need to use up anyway. So for now, these are the shades that I carry in this particular formula. And I will tell you the most used shades that I repurchase are 2, 4, and 6. Those are the shades that I feel like I've constantly repurchased, and 7. I feel like 7, especially for summer, 7 is more of a, I would say more for like medium skin, light medium, but yeah, those are the shades that I feel like, especially 4 and 6, like those are like my most used shades, I feel. So I've repurchased those so many times, but the shades that I currently carry in my kit, let me tell you, and I do plan on adding more. However, like I said, I have so many foundations in my kit that I need to phase out and use up before I start adding more. So I'm trying to use up what I have. I have MAC Studio Fix in there. I have the NARS Radiant Longwear, and I have Makeup Forever HD Liquid, like the original liquid foundation, and the stick foundation. So I don't want to add more, but so the current shades that I have are 0.5, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, and then I also have the yellow adjuster. So these are the shades that I reach for the most. So I would say 0.5 and 1 definitely don't get used much in the summer at all unless I get someone that's like super duper fair. These are definitely more winter shades, and if anything, I just use these to lighten up other shades because they are very, very light. I will say I do find this foundation oxidizes a little bit, so just be like careful with that. But yeah, I would say 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 are definitely some really popular shades for me. And then I do have the yellow adjuster because some of these, not all of them, but some of them, like for example 8 is like a medium, I would say like this is like more of like a medium shade. I just put a little bit on my hand so you can see, but it does have a tiny bit of a like pinky neutral undertone. Like it's very slight, it's honestly not that much, but sometimes it's a little bit too like pinky on people, so I'll just add a little drop of the yellow just to make it more golden. So like you can see that actually already oxidized a little bit. But it is a really pretty shade, I feel like, for like medium skin tones. So yeah, those are my most used shades. Like I said, obviously everyone's most used shades are going to be different, but my suggestion if you want to try this out is maybe go every other shade. So maybe start at 0.5. If only get 0.5 if you do a lot of really fair clients. Maybe do 0.5 to 6, 8. Maybe start with those and kind of see what works. But yeah, if you're like me and you do a lot of like fair to medium tan clients, then I would do like 0.5 to 8. Maybe add in 10 as well, because 10 is a little bit deeper, which I do want to get 10, but like I said, I just have so many other foundations that I need to go through. I just went ahead and swatched just a few of them so you can kind of see. So this is the adjuster. This is shade 7. This is 6. This is 2. And this is 0.5. Just so you can get an idea of what the shades look like. I am pretty tan right now, so these look super duper light on top of my skin. So I feel like it's not like a true representation. But yeah, just so you can get an idea of what the shades look like. Okay, so for my foundation, I'm going to be using shade 6, 8, and a tiny bit of the Blaze Adjuster, which is the yellow adjuster, just because I feel like these two together is just a little bit too neutral. I need a little bit more warmth. So I'm gonna do 1 pump of 6, a pump of 8. I'm not even gonna do a full pump of 8. And the tiniest little bit of Blaze. Okay. It's a pretty like thick consistency. It kind of has the consistency of like a gel. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's pretty thick. Okay, to prime the skin, I'm going to go in with the Benefit Professional. This is just the original. Just because my skin is a little like not oily, but it's pretty moisturized today, so I know that if I don't use a mattifying primer, my face is not gonna last that long because it is pretty warm here. So I'm just gonna use this little brush here. It's like a little tiny angled kabuki brush. It's from a set from Amazon. I'm just gonna dip directly into the foundation, really stipple and work that product into the brush. And then I'm gonna start stippling it onto my face. And you can see right away that it's giving me coverage, but it also looks super natural. Like, it literally looks like skin. It looks like second skin. And I have to say that color, that color is like really, really good. Wow. That was like the perfect mix. So I'm just gonna, like about this little brush is it's small, so you can really like concentrate the product. And I don't know, it just really pushes the product into the skin and it doesn't leave streaks on your face, which obviously is a plus. So I was planning on doing just one side at first so you can really see the difference, but this honestly looks such like skin that you can't even really tell the difference between the two. I mean, obviously my imperfections are definitely concealed, but this is honestly the clearest my skin has been in a really long time, so you can't really tell a super big difference, but it looks really, really good. So this is my natural skin. I did put a little foundation right here because I forgot, but yeah, this is like natural, and then this is covered. I'm just gonna take this little wedge sponge and just go over the skin just to pick up any excess product. So I'm gonna go in, I'm going to conceal, cream contour, set, all of that, and then come back and show you the finished product. If you're wondering what products I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors concealer. I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation to contour. I'm going to be setting with the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder underneath the eyes, and then for the rest of the face I'm going to be using the Maybelline Loose Fit Me powder in medium and deep. So let me go do all of that and I'll be right back. So this is what the foundation looks like with, you know, my concealer, powder, and all of that. I feel like that combination of products works really well with this foundation, and the skin looks super smooth. It works nicely with that Maybelline Loose Fit Me powder, which is my favorite loose powder right now. I love it. I've mentioned it so many times, but it's honestly so good. And it works with so many different foundations. I've never really had an issue with it not looking good on top of different foundations. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Like I said, it looks super smooth and really good. And I'm very picky when it comes to foundation on myself. There's very few foundations out there that I actually like on my skin. I love the L'Oreal Fresh Wear 24-Hour Foundation. I feel like that foundation is like by far one of my favorites. But this actually looks really good on my oily skin, so I can attest that it honestly works on so many different skin types, because I've used it on really dry clients as well and it still looks really, really good. So yeah, that is it for today's makeup video. I hope you found this helpful, and especially if you are a makeup artist that was considering adding this foundation to your kit. Hopefully you took some knowledge away from this video, and yeah, hopefully you try it out. If you try it out and you like it, let me know. I'm curious, because like I said, I don't really hear a lot of makeup artists talk about this foundation. Oh, and I do want to mention, you can get a discount code if you're a makeup artist through FACE Atelier. I was actually considering doing it. However, I get FACE Atelier through Camera Ready Cosmetics and Friends Beauty, and I have a pro discount on both of those sites. So I already get a discount on FACE Atelier, and I'm pretty sure it's 20 to 30%, but I think if you go off of the FACE Atelier website, you can get 40%. So maybe I think maybe I'll apply for that, just so I can get that a little extra 10%, just because like I said, I do buy this a lot. Since the one disadvantage of these smaller bottles is, since they are so small, you do go through them pretty quickly. However, it wouldn't be such a bad idea to buy your go-to shades in the bigger sizes. That way when your little bottles are running out, you can just pump some of the foundation from the bigger bottles into those. I actually think I may do that. But yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.